Hello everybody, Peter Smith here. I'm back in New York at the usual spot where I stay, just near the UN. Been 3 weeks since I did a YouTube talk. Been busy over in Scotland. I did the launch of my book on Reg. What's it called? The Life and Times of Reggie Gibson, Air Scotland, by Peter Smith. That's me. I spent a lot of time doing this book. Spent over 3 years of my spare time trying to get this together. There's 140 pages and 35 pictures in it. Did it self-publishing. If you'd like to get a copy, that's it there. You just go to www.lulu.com. Lulu spelt L-U-L-U, and you can get a copy. And I'm told it's not a bad read. That's from people who have read it, not just self-praise, which we know is no recommendation. So that was my book, Reg. We did the launch, and 120 copies I had printed. There's not too many left. I'm getting down to my last few. I've got different people trying to sell them. If you live near Ayr, you can go into the Community Gift Exchange shop in the Kyle Centre. Books are for sale there, or you could buy them on the internet, www.lulu.com. And you just type in Reg by Peter Smith, and the book should come up, and then you just do your usual thing you do on the internet when you buy something. Now, last time I was over, I was working on a briefing note. That's what a briefing note looks like. Briefing note to give to a few delegates. I'm going over to the UN this morning, wanting to give this out to a few delegates. It's about reproductive health. Now, reproductive health. Let's start introduction. Reproductive health is not a medical term, but a political term invented by pro-abortion people to disguise its meaning. If people outside the UN were asked what reproductive health means, they would say, when my wife is pregnant and gives birth, she and my baby will be okay. I have personally heard many delegates new to the UN make this statement. If you ask Hillary Clinton, she says reproductive health includes abortion. Now, at the International Conference on Population Development, or we call it the Cairo Conference in '94, prior to this, the term reproductive health was unknown at the UN in most of the world. Just prior to the Cairo Conference, the World Health Organization put out a paper giving their view on the meaning of certain terms. They said reproductive health included, among other things, regulation of fertility, and here they included interruption of unwanted pregnancy. Now, that's saying abortion without saying abortion, but you make it sound not so bad, because if you're just interrupting an unwanted pregnancy, it doesn't imply you're killing anybody. It's just you're interrupting something you didn't want. And who wouldn't want to interrupt something they didn't want? So that's how these clever people at the World Health Organization conceal these things. But at both Cairo and the Beijing conferences, that's the women's conference in '95, gave definitions of reproductive health. This includes methods of regulation of fertility which are not against the law. So abortion was included when it was legal. However, if you look up the World Health Organization now, did a comment on Wikipedia, you look up reproductive health, and under reproductive health on Wikipedia you got, in articles from the World Health Organization, it claims that legal abortion is a fundamental right of women regardless where they live. And unsafe abortion is a silent pandemic. And I mentioned this view is common in the UN Secretariat. Now, the World Health Organization is claiming that all the laws in the world, in most countries of the world, have laws against abortion to varying degrees. The World Health Organization has, all on its own, determined that all those laws are wrong. They're all wrong. Every single one of them is wrong. And they regard it legal abortion as a fundamental right. No, the countries of the UN that run the UN are called the General Assembly. There's every country in the world, and they're in the General Assembly. And the General Assembly has not, N-O-T, not declared abortion a human right. But the World Health Organization has. So there it is. Customary international law. Now this is the legal smoke and mirrors tricks that's going on. There are many developed countries that claim that if you repeat a term often enough, then it becomes customary international law. That is why there are so many references to reproductive health. It's abortion rights by stealth. There is no agreement in the 6th committee, that's the legal committee, on the formation of customary international law, but there is continuous pressure in this field. So now maybe you're getting the idea about all this right stuff. And if all these countries can be convinced there's some right to development, and there's a right to health, and there's a right to food, and there's a right to blah, 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 they might get conned into going along with this customary international law. Of course, the poor countries think they're going to get something off the rich countries, but they're probably not. So, sorry for the rant there. What can pro-life delegates do? If you have a resolution on the girl child, children or adolescents, ask for the following wording to be included from the Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is a convention. This is human rights. And the preamble, that's the bit just at the start of the convention, says, this is what it says, the child, by reason of his physical, well, it should be his or her, physical and mental immaturity, needs special safeguard and care, including appropriate legal protection before as well as after birth. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, that's beautiful. Now, when the United Kingdom ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child, they put out a reservation, that it didn't include abortion. So you're allowed to kill the 200-odd thousand unborn babies in the UK. They weren't covered by the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So there you have it. In the UK, you don't have any rights under the rights of the child if you're unwanted and aborted. Sorry, you're gone. Try to get every mention of reproductive health deleted. Always push for this. Easier said than done. The best consensus language to neutralise reproductive health is to add, every human being has the inherent right to life. It's from the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1976, Article 6.1. Or you could have, every child has the inherent right to life. State parties shall ensure to the maximum extent possible the survival and development of the child. Convention on the Rights of the Child, 1990, Article 6.1. Done the homework here. Respect the right to live in dignity in all stages of life. This is from the Ageing Resolution in 2002, paragraph 21H. Governments should take appropriate steps to help women avoid abortion, which in no case shall be promoted as a method of family planning, and in all cases provide for humane treatment and counselling of women who have had recourse to abortion. The International Convention on Population and Development, 1994, paragraph 724. But the best solution after reproductive health is to add, to ensure a safe outcome for mother and child. Oh, if we could get that in, it'd be lovely. And then you got reproductive rights. Oh, this is the dangerous stuff. This term has been used to promote abortion rights as well as LGBT rights by UNFPA. The only way to fix this term is to fine abortion out of it. So you put sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights consistent with the report of the International Covenant on Political and Population Development is better than the reference to the Programme of Action. The reference to the report includes reservations, the Programme of Action does not. And here's a sample reservation that you can put in at the end. Any term related to sexual and reproductive health and or reproductive rights must not be understood to include a right to abortion or to impose a burden on governments to provide access to or fund abortion or change our laws relating to abortion. So that's my little briefing note. Might be giving out a few of those today to the odd delegate that I run into. I've also heading up to CFAM. There's a bit of stuff going on up there. Got an ambassador to meet about 12:30 or so. Might go back to the UN then and see if there's any delegates about. Might be able to give out one of my little briefing notes. And trying to get over my jet lag. Oh, the jet lag was brutal. It was brutal last night. I must have woke up 8 or 10 times last night. Had this awful nightmare. The most jumbled up thing I could ever imagine. I was down in Guernsey and then I was over on Bruny Island in Tasmania and I was trying to cut a lawn and cut and polish a car. It was awful. It was terrible mixed up. I wonder about dreams and nightmares. I don't place a lot of store in a lot of that stuff. I know in the Bible people had dreams and it came from the Lord, but yeah, I'm a little bit agnostic about some people. Oh, I had a dream about such and such. I thought, oh well, yeah, that's just your brain scrambling about in the middle of the night. Who knows what it means? It could be something important, maybe not. At Bible college we were taught not to take too much notice of dreams. It's just a lot of jumble. But there you go. So there we are. So don't forget, if you want to get a copy of my book, I'm told it's a good read. There's a lady in my church, she read it all she got it one evening, just read it right through. It's not heavy stuff, it's just Reg's story and different other people's story who helped him out and did stuff with him. Lots of testimonies by Christians and other different people. Not all Christians, but some Christians and people who used to drink with Reg and people who had all sorts of things. Now, I've had lots of people tell me different stories about Reg I hadn't heard before. So I'm thinking of doing a little second edition to add a few more bits and pieces. And I got a few more pictures, and maybe I'll be able to put it together a bit better. Now the last few weeks I've been working really hard on my memoirs about the United Nations. The first 10 years or so. I got about a 330-page A4 size book done, and I've got to get a couple of people to check it off first, and I'm hoping to release that in January. I'm hoping. So there we are. Writing was one of my worst subjects at school. I don't know why the Lord's got me writing books. I'm not that good at writing, but I do my best. I do my best to try and tell a good story. My spoken English is maybe a bit better than my written English, but I try my best. But there it is, Reg, by Peter Smith. If you want to buy a copy, it'd be wonderful. And you could give them away to friends. There's, even though it's about a local chap in Ayr in Scotland, near Prestwick, there's a lot of people have lives like that. And he had an interesting life, and he was a character. A likeable rogue, most people said. And he was a rogue, and he was likeable. But he was off the drink the last 13 years of his life, except for one little slip. But so it was good. So he was a £1 bet by a sheriff, but you'll have to buy the book to find out all the details. It's a very interesting story. So I must go now because time's getting on, and I need to upload this and then duck over to the UN and see what's going on. Doing some lobbying by wandering about. That's what I do. Like in industry, I used to do management by wandering about. I'd wander out in the factory and see what was going on. And when I was service manager at Nippon Denso, I'd wander around all these Toyota dealers and just see if they'd been fitting the Nippon Denso air conditioners right. The only way is to go out and check and see. That's the way you get things done. Now, people think there's all complicated ways of doing stuff, but doing them just by wandering about sometimes is the best way. You can have a great big plan about this, that and the other thing, and it doesn't come about. But if you're just there and wandering about, well, the Lord might run you into someone interesting to talk to, and you never know. You never know who the Lord might use. He used a donkey once to speak to somebody. He used anybody. So he could use me or anybody else. So we're trying to get a little bit of sense into some of these human rights documents, but it's hard. But anyway, if it was easy, it'd be boring, but it's definitely not boring. So thanks for watching, and if you like this, if you could share, just click the little arrow thing that goes up like that, go share to whoever, and then you, if you want like it, do a like. If you don't like it, put an unlike. And if you want to comment, put a nice comment. If not, say what you think. Doesn't worry me. I might even respond nicely. Always try and respond nicely. So thanks for watching, and God bless you.